Hello, everyone, and welcome to TLU's virtual nursing panel. My name is Elliot Powell, and I work at TLU as the Director for Transfer, Graduate, and Veteran Admissions. So what that means is as a transfer student, I'm really your point of contact. So any questions that you have, start with me. I'm happy to help answer and assist with your questions. So we're excited that you are joining us today. We understand that selecting a nursing program is an important decision, and so we're happy to give you the opportunity to hear from Dr. Amy Bedgood, our nursing director, and then also two TLU students, Bobby and Tabitha. So at this time, I'm going to have them turn on their video feed so y'all can see them. Hey, Bobby. Hi, Dr. Bedgood. Hi, Tabitha. So great. They're excited to share with you a little bit more about the nursing program and then their TLU experience. So to get us started, I'd like to have each panelist introduce themselves. So I'll have the students introduce themselves first, and then Dr. Bedgood's going to just give us a little bit of an overview and highlight of the nursing program. So we will start with Bobby.
Hello, my name is Bobby. I'm a second semester nursing student here at TLU. I grew up in a military family with both my parents on the medical side. So after I finished high school, I knew I wanted to be in the medical field, but I didn't quite know what career to go through. So I went to NLC. My first year went through and I was like, okay, I really like nursing. So I got in contact with Elliot and I also followed the guide that they have at NLC, and now I'm here at TLU.
Great, thanks, Bobby. And then Tabitha.
Hi, everyone. I'm in Bobby's cohort, so I'm a J2 as well. I am one of the older students in the program. I had a full career in the Air Force, and right about the time I was getting ready to leave the Air Force, I lost a loved one, and I did a little reflecting and reassessing of my life and decided I wanted to do something that was meaningful and purposeful. And so I changed career paths and I started taking my prereqs at St. Philip's, and now I'm here at TLU.
Great, thanks, Tabitha. And then now we'll have Dr. Bedgood introduce herself and then also chat a little bit more about just an overview and highlight of the program.
Welcome and thank you all for coming today. We're so glad to have you and host you in this event. My name is Dr. Amy Bedgood, and I've been at TLU since 2014 in a teaching role and then now in a leadership role. And so I'm very excited about all of the growth that's happening at TLU and in our nursing program, and am excited to talk to you about that today. One of the things that I wanted to just some points I wanted to bring up is the successes of our program to date. Our program is strong and growing, as I mentioned, and we continue to do well on our Nclex pass rates. Currently, since we started this program in 2014, we're sitting at about 94% pass rate overall. Which is very good. It's above the state average, and we, despite a pandemic, are persevering and still doing well. Our students are doing well. Our students are all doing very well in getting job placements. We just had today a recruiter from Methodist who was meeting with our senior 1 students, trying to recruit them for internship programs. So I would say our partnerships are strong with the hospitals in San Antonio, in Guadalupe County, Comal County, and even Hayes County. And they like our students. They feel like our students are well prepared, and they do actively recruit our students. All of our students are gaining employment within 12 months. And I think that's kind of a long time after graduation. They're really, many of them, the majority, have jobs before they graduate. So the market is really good for in this area for our TLU graduates. The other thing that we constantly evaluate and look at in our program is employer satisfaction. And again, kind of piggybacking off of what I just said, the employers in the area are very highly satisfied with our graduates. They feel like they're adequately prepared, and they transition very well into the nursing profession. And so that's something that we are proud of and we want to make sure we maintain. And so we're constantly evaluating and reevaluating to make sure that we are still meeting the expectations of the healthcare system and market in our area. some of the placements that our students are going to work in, as well as our partnerships where we do clinicals. We have a very strong partnership with our local hospital here in Seguin, Guadalupe Regional Medical Center. So that's definitely one of them. The Christus Healthcare System, our students do clinicals and gain employment at Christus New Braunfels, Christus Children's, all of the different Christus facilities in the San Antonio area. Methodist is also a very strong partner. That's actually who came today to talk to our students. And they are actively recruiting TLU grads. We also have a partnership with Southwest General, Resolute in New Braunfels, and several hospice locations as well. So our students are getting some really good experiences, and they're getting some really good jobs. And so, kind of thinking about where are our graduates now and what have they done? Many of them stay in the area, which is amazing because that's what we want. And we want to keep our good nurses local and taking care of us and our community. But we also have students that go outside of the area. We have students in Dallas, in Houston, Baylor Scott and White Dallas, Dell Children's in Austin. We have graduates who go to Seton and St. David's in Austin, and then other areas, even small rural areas around Texas. I think a new one that we have, a recent graduate, is actually out in Midland, and that's the first we've had in Midland, Texas. So our graduates are far-reaching throughout Texas and even on to other states. We know that we've had grads go out to other states, travel nursing. So they're doing all kinds of amazing things and going on to graduate school. And we have several that are already in nurse practitioner programs. And so this program will prepare you, if that's what you want to do, to go on and advance your degree.
Great, thanks, Dr. Bedgood, for that overview. So now we're going to get started with questions from the viewers. So whenever you RSVP'd for the event, you had the opportunity to send in questions. So we're going to get to those questions first. Do know that we are going to be requesting questions through the chat feature here shortly. So if you think of any questions during these, you will get the opportunity to ask them. I'll ask the panelists on some of those questions. If some of them are a quick response, we may be responding to you through the chat feature as well. So kind of the hot topics, I guess you could say, from what students seem to be wanting to hear during this session would be, what are the requirements to transfer to TLU's nursing program, and then scholarships and costs. So we decided we'd go over that question first. And at this time, I'm going to have my little magician behind the scenes. She's going to share some PowerPoint slides to y'all, just so you kind of have a visual of our prerequisites and then our scholarship program and kind of our requirements to kind of look along with me when we go through this. So first, we'll just chat a little bit about the nursing prerequisites. So you'll see they're listed here. The course codes are going to be the course name at course code at TLU and then the name. So for Alamo College students, typically students are able to, or are coming in and also able to get, all courses on this list except for 2. So those courses are going to be the Spanish for Health Professionals class, which is the second from the bottom, and then also the Pathophysiology class. So those are going to be courses that aren't going to be offered at the Alamo colleges. So also that FREX 134 class, that's going to be a freshman seminar class. So if you are transferring to TLU and you have 24 transferable hours, that would be waived for you. So that's not something that you would need to complete if you do have that. So there's also a theology course, which is going to be that Theology 133, Introduction to Theology. So it's actually offered at an equivalent course. There's actually 3 options that are offered at the Alamo colleges. We do see a lot of students that don't have this yet. And you'll see in the chat window that it was just shared what those courses are, because a lot of students do ask about that. But any of those courses, so one of those 3 courses would satisfy that Theo 133. So generally students are able to complete everything except for that Spanish for Health Professionals class and that Pathophysiology class. So kind of what we always recommend doing is reach out to us, now. So it's great you're in this session, you're getting an overview, but it will really take us looking at your transcripts to kind of give you an idea of a timeline to apply, because it is a 2-part process to apply to TLU. So you would apply to TLU first. you'd complete whatever prerequisites that you would need here. And then depending on what semester you're applying for the nursing program, you would also submit an application for the program as well. So it really does, I think, require, a one-on-one conversation. If you do want to chat with someone about your prerequisites, we can take a look and then kind of give you a timeline. So that pathophysiology course, that Spanish for Health Professionals course, they are offered generally in the summer, the fall, and the spring. So we can work with you on a timeline, maybe when would be a best fit to take those prerequisites at TLU before starting the program. But that hopefully just gives you a little bit of information on the prerequisites we require. But again, great to work out in advance, and we're happy to talk with you further. And so on the next slide, Dr. Bedgood is just going to talk a little bit about the admissions requirements, because I know a lot of students were wondering, what's required to gain admission.
So in order to be to gain admission into the program, there's two things. First, I would say we do a really what's called a holistic admission. So we don't just look at grades, but these two components are critical components that must be met in addition with the other things that you do, such as jobs and experience in healthcare and different things like that. But the two minimum standards are that you have to have at least a C in each of your prerequisite courses and a minimum of a 3.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale. All of your science courses need to have been completed within the last 7 years prior to application. That's really important because you need to be super fresh in those sciences, because all of that prerequisite science that you do, you're going to be applying to what you're studying in the nursing curriculum. And then last, you have to take the TEAS exam and you have to score at least 70%. TEAS is a test for essential academic skills, and it's got to be taken within 12 months of applying. If it's over 12 months, then we will ask you to retest on that. But as long as it's within that 12 months, you should be good and score that 70% cumulative score on the TEAS exam. The one thing I will say is that we do offer some TEAS workshops throughout the semester. If you are not yet a TLU student, you can still take these classes, this review class. It's a 2-hour class where we talk about how to be successful on TEAS. So I always encourage students to take advantage of that, prepare in advance and do the best you can on the first attempt. While you can take the TEAS exam more than once, it costs money each time you take it. So if you prepare really well the first time, then hopefully you only take it once and you don't have to spend that additional money. So if you're interested in that, that's something that, we can share with you as you start to communicate with TLU.
Thanks, Dr. Bedgood. So for the next slide, I just want to chat a little bit. So I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but we do have cohorts that start in the spring and also the fall. So depending on when you finish your prerequisites and you're ready to start the program, there are 2 options. So this just gives you an idea of the application deadline. So again, it's a 2-part process. So you'd first apply to TLU as a transfer student and then apply for the nursing program. So, for spring, that deadline is going to be August 15th. So, nearly 6 months in advance, and then fall, it'd be January 30th. So again, I just want to reiterate, it's best to plan ahead because those deadlines are going to be, several months before the semester starts. So, but I did want to mention that we do have 2 cohorts as options, depending on when you finish your prerequisites. And then finally, I just want to mention a little bit more about transfer scholarships. I know that students had questions about the cost of attendance and scholarships. So you'll see on the screen there that we do award an academic scholarship based off of your cumulative transfer GPA. So this is going to be based on all of your coursework that you've completed. So if you've attended just Alamo, it would be based off of Alamo, but if you've attended other schools, then we would include that into the GPA calculation. So we look at all college coursework. So let's say you're at a 3.25, you would get $15,000 a year in scholarships. It's set once you get to TLU. So if you do fall, at a 3.24, we wouldn't lower that scholarship. It's set, and it's something that can last for 7 semesters total. So to renew it, you would just have to maintain a 2.0 GPA. So that's the main scholarship that transfer students qualify for. Also, we do offer a Phi Theta Kappa scholarship. So that's an honors organization at the community college level. So I think that they require a 3.5 GPA. And I think it's maybe, they calculate it, I think probably your most recent semester, they look at more, but I would reach out to your advisor and just ask them a little bit more if you're not too familiar with that organization, because it is $3,000 a year and it's stackable. So it's added on to that academic scholarship as well. And then we do offer a community college partners scholarship. So we do have a partnership with the Alamo colleges, and we want to honor that partnership. So if you've earned 15 hours at the Alamo colleges, then we add 1,000 on that. So just want to mention all of this is stackable. So if you look at this and you're a PTK student, you've earned 15 hours, you have that 3.25 or higher GPA, then you get 19,000 initially in scholarships. So that's just based off of your academic credentials, basically. So there's other things that you can qualify for that would be able to be applied towards the cost of attendance, but that's just kind of the first thing we look at. And when we review your file, we let you know right away if you're admitted what your scholarship is. And just to give you an idea of cost of attendance, so with fees, Wi-Fi, TLU tuition, it's going to be $32,970. So if you're at that 19,000, and that's a discount every year, a lot of students say at TLU that it was very comparable, if they're in that kind of category to state tuition. So we always recommend apply, see what you qualify for, send us the FAFSA, and then really see what the cost is at that point. So I just wanted to share that slide. And I know that from a staff and faculty perspective, we've talked a great deal on these things, but I did want to check in with Bobby and Tabitha just to see if we've missed anything from what we've said so far on kind of the top questions that we've got from viewers. So I'll just check in with Bobby first.
So with the scholarships, just to continue what he was saying, like when I was like looking at different nursing programs to go to, I was looking at like UIW, UT Health, and UT in Austin as well. And they had a little bit cheaper tuition overall, but when you're talking about scholarships, TLU gave the most, which is one of the big reasons why I went. After the 19,000 went away, I was like, okay, that's a lot more manageable. That's just what I think.
Great, thanks for that, Bobby. And then Tabitha, did you have anything you wanted to mention?
Sure. So going back to the planning and the fact that the admissions applications need to be submitted so far in advance, I definitely recommend working with your TLU admissions counselor to see about maybe taking pathophysiology in a full semester versus taking it over that summer semester, which is condensed just prior to or immediately following the semester that you start the program. It'll help you out because you're going to need that pathophysiology foundation. And I've talked to a lot of the other students who took it with me over the summer, and it's a lot. It's really intense. So if you can do it in a full semester, that's what I recommend. And then with the scholarships, the nursing department is fantastic about emailing us and letting us know when opportunities pop up. I think we've probably received 2 or 3 emails just since the fall semester of new scholarship opportunities. So just something else to, be aware of.
And Dr. Bedgood, I know I kind of finished up that section. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention based on what was shared?
No, I mean, I think you covered it well.
All right, sounds good. Well, we'll move on to the next question. So, there was a couple questions about schedule. So what is the schedule like? Are courses online, in person? So for that first question, I'm going to check in with Bobby and Tabitha. So what is the schedule like? And we'll start with Bobby.
Gotcha. For this semester, usually have class kind of like 4 days a week. So Monday is like a kind of 4-hour lecture, and then Tuesday kind of a lab. It's kind of like 5 hours or so. And then Wednesday is a little bit more intense. It's 2 classes, so it's 4 hours. You get like an hour and a half break, another 4 hours. And then Wednesday, or I just said Wednesday, but Thursday is when we actually go to clinical, and that's where you go for like 12 hours. And that's more second semester. When you're in the first semester, you're in lab more. So you're going to be more like on site in the lab, so you don't have to worry about going to the hospital for 12 hours. But one thing I see is like our weekends are pretty clear. Sometimes you have clinicals on Sunday, you have other things to do, but as far as studying and managing, different, studying for assignments and just getting like test prep in, like the weekends at Friday and on are pretty good days to study and kind of manage your time.
Great, thanks, Bobby. Tabitha?
Yeah, so the first semester in the program, like Bobby said, we didn't have a whole lot for clinicals because you're learning a lot of skills, so we were in the labs more and, we were practicing and, being checked off on skills, which, you need to do before you can be in the clinical setting and perform them on actual human beings. So second semester has been, it's definitely different than the first. It's structured, but because instead of just having clinicals for one course, we have clinicals for 2 courses. So we have one clinical for behavioral health, and then we have another one for like med-surg it's complex one, but it's like advanced med-surg. And so depending on, what preferences you provide as far as what timeframes and what days work best for you, that's going to have an impact on what your schedule looks like. So there is some flexibility there.
Great, thanks, Tabitha. And Peggy, I just saw your comment about Bobby. I just want to mention Bobby was at this, I think, a year or 2 ago, the same kind of event, and now he's kind of gone through it. So it's fun to see Peggy's comment because she brought him with her to campus. Dr. Bedgood, oh, Bobby, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, Miss Peggy.
Okay, so the second part of that question, are courses online in person? Dr. Bedgood, can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I would say first, the easy question is, our classes are face-to-face. Now, obviously, we're hopefully rounding the corner and on the downhill slope of an international pandemic. And because of that, we have had to make adjustments. We have been able to keep our students in lab, and thankfully, because we have amazing partners and they've been willing to work with us, we've been able to keep students in clinical. But for this academic year, we have been doing the majority of our theory or lecture style classes on Zoom. But I can tell you that right now, our plan and anticipation is that we will be back face to face. Of course, knowing that we have to be flexible, not knowing what the future holds exactly, but we are planning to do that. Nursing education is not geared towards online learning. We need to be face-to-face. We need that interaction with each other. And so we are really hoping that we can get past some of these major challenges with the pandemic before fall. And that is what we're anticipating. But traditionally, we're all face-to-face.
Great, thanks, Dr. Bedgood.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question, I'll check in with all of you on this one, but some may be able to answer it more than others, but how hard is doing the program while being a parent? And so I'll check in with Bobby if he wants to contribute anything.
All right, so I'm not a parent, but during the first semester, I was pretty close with one other student that was. She had 2 kids. And at first, with so much information just coming at you, she did feel a little overwhelmed because she was full-time and taking care of her kids. But she went to part-time, and then she was more disciplined with her scheduling and prioritizing, because not only you're not prioritizing just for your own mental health and your own grades, you have to worry about your child's mental health, their progression. So it is tough. And one thing I do have to say with our professors, like I have my professors' phone numbers. I can call them if I need a question, like I don't want to spend 2 hours trying to understand this concept when I can just ask them and they can break it down more easily for me. So they're very providing, and they give you their phone numbers. And with I have friends that go to UIW and then UT Health, and they're like, we don't have our professors' numbers. Like we have to email them, and it could be like 2 days before they get back. So I just think our professors are great about just being accommodating for that.
Great, thanks, Bobby. Tabitha.
Yeah, so Bobby's absolutely right. Our professors are fantastic about making themselves available to us. And they encourage us to text them or email them if we have questions, and it doesn't matter what day it is, what time it is. I mean, they may not respond right away, depending going on in their lives, but we are all very comfortable with reaching out to them. So as far as being a parent and in this program, I'm a parent, but she's not at home with me. So I guess the only thing I could really say would be, you know that you're always going to be juggling a whole bunch of things. With this program, it's really important to set aside some time for you, some dedicated study time. And so, maybe trying to be proactive and maybe do meal preps on the weekends. Take advantage of the big chunks of time that you have, to knock some of that stuff out so that during the week when it's really busy and really hectic and you don't have that kind of time, you've made it a little bit easier for yourself.
Great, thanks, Tabitha. And then Dr. Becca, do you have anything you'd want to add?
Yeah, the one thing I would say is that it, like, kind of going off of what Tabitha said, one of the keys to success and being a parent while in nursing school, because we have students every semester that are parents and that do it, is good communication with your faculty, with your family, and hopefully you have family that lives near you. If you decide to start in the program, to really communicate to them early, even before you start, like, this is a big commitment. Do I have your support? Because having that support is going to be really important. And then, as Tabitha said, having good time management. I know I wasn't in my bachelor's program when I had kids, but when I was in other educational programs, going on to get my master's and my doctorate with kids. And it took, like Tabitha said, meal prepping. Sometimes I would be studying when they went to bed, or there might be a time where I said, I need to go to the library and I need someone to watch my child to help me out with that. And, it's very doable. It just takes some forethought and planning to get it done.
Great, thanks all for answering that question. So the next one is, what are the benefits of TLU's nursing program? So we'll start with Bobby.
So I think one thing is with the class size. I know, like, I keep saying I have other friends in other universities, but they have like 100+ students in their nursing program, and just trying to get a hold of your professor, it can kind of be a daunting task. So for us, I just feel like it's just so easy to call my professor. Even yesterday, I started reviewing for my final exams like a month in advance, and then I just texted one of my professors. 5 minutes later, he called me. He said, "Hey, what do you need help with? Do you want to go through your exams? You want to, go through concept maps or anything?" So I just think a professor is just really one of the main reasons why I really love TLU.
Great, thanks, Bobby. Tabitha.
Yeah, so like Bobby, I love that this is a small program. For me, coming into an education program, where I'm at in life, I wanted to make sure that I would be able to ask questions, and get clarification, kind of right there on the spot, and not be intimidated, or for there to not be, enough time, because, there are so many students that not everybody can get their questions answered. So I love the program. One of the things that really drew me to this program as well was the pass rate for the Nclex. I mean, that's huge. You're going to spend 2 years, in this program, busting your butt to graduate, and that's not the end of it. You have to pass that Nclex. So that's a really big deal. So this school does a fantastic job of preparing us for that exam.
Great, thanks, Tabitha. And then Dr. Bedgood, is there anything else that you'd want to mention for that topic?
I was thinking,
Yep.
I think the biggest thing, like for me, it's the sense of community with the on-campus, with being a little bit smaller university in comparison to some other programs. I think all of us work well together, and just the general community of TLU. and the school spirit and things like that. So I am looking forward to everything being back on campus so that we can get back to that. But I would have to agree with what Tabitha and Bobby said about, just that camaraderie and support that is present.
Great, thanks.
Elliot?
Oh yeah,
Hey, sorry, I wanted to add one last thing.
yeah, go for it.
So I've also heard that our program is unique in comparison to some of the others in that our peers, in our cohort are generally very supportive. People are always communicating, if somebody has a question, we use GroupMe, people use Snapchat. I don't use Snapchat, but people do. And so they're able to get questions answered on the spot, get clarifications, if they feel like they might have a stupid question or it's something they should know and they're not comfortable going to the professor about. People will send out video links. Hey, this really helped, just little tidbits. They're supportive. And, again, when you're going through this program, you're going to want and be grateful for all of the support that you can get.
Great, good additional feedback. So at this time, I've been seeing some questions coming in the chat feature, but we're about to get to our last RSVP question. So this is your time if you have any other questions that have come up to send them through the chat feature, and we'll try to work through those the best we can. So send those through the chat feature to us, and we'll try to get to them, either write you back or ask it to the group. So it looks like the final question that we have from the RSVP submissions: what types of resources are provided to help students achieve their degree? So we'll start with Bobby.
So one thing I know is like student instructor led kind of classes to help with either studying for exams or just studying for basic content like pathophysiology. I used that once and it was really helpful because patho, I did take it in the summer, and it is a lot. It's like 14 weeks and like 3 to 4 weeks of work. So just using those resources, and again, the professor is like, the patho one, he really helped me through that, because if I didn't have these conversations, understanding different concepts, like patho is such a big part of nursing. And if you can get that down, it makes the first semester a little bit easier. So I just think professors and using your like resources, there's a lot on the actual MyTLU. I don't know if you guys have those accounts yet, but whenever you do get it set up, there's like links just to go directly to student support and academic support as well.
Yeah, and that access will be given. So after you apply, and if you're admitted at that point, you would get access to that account, which is used kind of as a student. And then some of your enrollment steps would be there as well. So Tabitha.
Okay, so resources from our professors, we tend to get study guides just to help us really grasp the material. They also put together the framework of concept maps for us to populate. So again, so that we can just get a better grasp of the material. So they've come up with different ways to help us process and keep track and be able to differentiate and see the similarities as we're going along. And then we also have access to SharePath, which is an online site where we take lessons, it's additional reading, they have quizzes out there, so we're able to test our knowledge and our comprehension. And same thing, we use ATI for our courses as well, so additional lessons where we're learning more content, and then quizzes too, just to see how well we're retaining it.
Great, thanks. And finally, Dr. Bedgood, if you have anything you'd want to add to the responses.
So outside of just, the resources that we provide within the program from the faculty for you as you are learning content, we also provide resources such as assistance with testing accommodations, our Office of Admissions and not admissions, our Office of Disability and Student Support. So if for example, you have a learning disability and you need some assistance on test taking, we have a testing proctor that will help us. She's specific to nursing, to if you need to test individually, like in a private room or additional time, that we have that available. We also have a lab assistant and collaborative learning assistant. And she does some tutoring with students, maybe some one-on-one sessions if you're struggling with some things. And then also helps out within the lab and manages our open lab time so that you can come in off hours to practice. And so those are some really good resources. And then the other resource that it's funny that a lot of the nursing students forget to tap into, but I've had several lately and it's made me very happy, is TLU has a writing center. And in your first, well, in every semester, you're going to be writing. You're going to be having to do some writing, some papers and things like that. And students have gone over and utilized the writing center, and they will help you with editing and formatting. And actually had one of the faculty members over there reach out to me and we were both so excited. We had a little dance party because there was some students that had gone over and utilized those resources. And I could tell when I graded their papers, they were really good. And so that helped them to do well in that course. So that's just a TLU resource that could be really helpful as well.
Great, thanks all. So at this point in time, we're going to move on to the chat feature and go through some of the questions that are being asked. So one thing I just did want to reiterate. So there was a question about, applying to the program and completing the 2-3 prerequisite courses not offered at Alma colleges. So you would have to complete. Sorry, I'm reading through these questions and through the chat at the same time. So yes, you can apply for the nursing program before completing the 2 to 3 prerequisites that are needed. So basically, we're going to look at your timeline. So, kind of where you're at when you're applying for the program, when you're planning on taking those. So all that will be looked at by the committee. So they're going to just see that you're going to have that completed. So the deadlines a lot of times are going to be before you actually complete that coursework. So they'll just want to see that you basically have a plan to complete it before starting. And Dr. Bedgood, you may have been the one I should have directed that to, but just wanted to see if you had any other things you wanted to add. All right, sounds good. And then let's see. So how many applicants are accepted each semester? And I'll actually direct that towards Dr. Bedgood.
So typically, we would shoot for about 30 to 32 students. That's kind of our number right now. And that's based off of, our space and our faculty and all of that. That could change in the future, but right now that's pretty much where we're at. 30 to 32 is our number.
And it looks like there's a lot of questions about application deadlines, when applications open and all of that. So, for the transfer application, that application is open now for the fall. So if you're looking to come, transfer in, finish any prerequisites in the summer or the fall, that's open already. Again, I would recommend to reach out to us first. It just kind of gets confusing with the 2 deadlines to kind of talk through that, just to talk through, kind of where you are on track to apply. But the actual transfer application is open. The next application that you would be able to apply for would be for the spring cohort. So August 15th is going to be that deadline for spring 2022. I have to get my years in order. So just know that really that application opens up this summer. It's due in August. So if you are thinking that you may be, able to complete prerequisites before this spring, you want to go ahead and start doing that application process now. So we can kind of, or at least reach out to us now so we can look at your prerequisites and then kind of talk with you about a timeline. But that application is open for, fall term. And then if you do apply for fall, that makes you eligible to take courses in the summer. And then for the next question, are there any restrictions while working while enrolled? And if so, what are they? And then I'm seeing if this one maybe needs to be a separate. Do you think working a full-time or part-time job is doable while in the program? So if you could talk about just working, kind of how that works, and if there are any restrictions with that. So we'll start with Bobby.
Okay, so I work at HEB. I work on the weekends, just Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I just do Saturday, but I do part-time. I know there's other people that still do full-time. I know there's other people that done full-time and went to part-time. I think it's really just dependent on your ability to manage and prioritize your time because at some points it may get overwhelming. I know in the first semester it was like week 5, you have like 2 exams and then 1 like paper due. So, I mean, the weeks prior to that, you might be able to get through, do notes and do that. But when you're trying to prepare for exams and you have a full-time job and you have a paper due, that might be a little overwhelming. So it's just really based on your ability to plan and really just prioritize your time.
Great, thanks, Bobby. And so for our next question, what is on the TEAS test? How many chances do we get? So anyone want to answer that one? We'll start with Dr. Bedgood.
So the TEAS test is a basic, let me lower my hand. It's a basic knowledge assessment test. It looks at reading, math, and science. And so it's looking at what is your knowledge of those 3 areas. And so it's not doing like some crazy calculus or trigonometry math or anything like that. It's more looking at some of your more basic types of math, like algebraic type things. And then reading comprehension, reading passages. So, I mean, I kind of would attribute it a little bit to like an SAT or that type of a test. But maybe, I haven't ever gotten to take it. I've actually wanted to take it just to see what it's like, but I haven't done that. But so we might even ask Bobby or Tabitha, but what their thoughts were on the TEAS exam. As far as the number of times that you can take it, we currently do not have a limit on the number of times you can take it. But what I will tell you is, we've had some students in the past have taken it up to like 7 or 8 times, but each time you take it, it's $103. And so that's just something to think about. I was talking to a student the other day who said, well, I'm just going to go take it cold turkey and see how I do. And I wouldn't necessarily suggest that because you're gonna, if you're willing to take $103 and flush it down the toilet, I would say prepare and try to do your best on that first attempt. But right now you can take it, as many times as you want. That may change in the future because we have had some discussion on that because we've seen some of the students who've taken it so many times haven't necessarily made a whole lot of improvement each time. So it's like maybe they're not doing the adequate preparation. So it's not necessarily the number of times you take it, but the preparation you do to before you take it.
Great, thanks, Dr. Bedgood. I know we got another question in. I don't think you've answered this part yet, but someone was asking about TEAS prep at TLU for non-students. Could you?
Yes, and then I also see here right below that about, is there something you can study? So I can address both of those things. So yes, we do have a TEAS prep course. I know this semester we offered 3 or 4 different ones. And so those are just 1 2-hour session that you can take. If you're not a admitted TLU student yet, you can still take that course. It's $50. If you are a TLU student, if you're admitted, it is free. So that's something to think about, but you are welcome to sign up if you are not yet a TLU student. As far as studying, TEAS does have a prep workbook that I would highly recommend. You can get it on Amazon for I think $25. And it's a workbook that you can kind of work through. And one of the things that I've heard from students as far as feedback on the science aspect is the science portion of the TEAS test is just a lot of terminology. I don't know if either Tabitha or Bobby can speak to that, but a lot of terminology. And so going through that workbook and becoming familiar with the terminology could be very helpful in bringing your score up on that area.
And Bobby.
Got you. So when I did the TEAS, I actually had a book as well, and also online. I think if you go to actual ATI, which is what we use as nursing students, they also have a prep, but it's kind of expensive. So you can find preparation exams online as well. That's what I did, passed the first time. And also just speaking on the science part, it was a lot of vocabulary and more biology. I know because right before I took the exam, I was in A&P2, so I was fresh off that knowledge. That was kind of easier, but those kind of biology concepts do come back in that TEAS.
And Tabitha, I think that you were about to chime in too, so I just wanted to check in. Did you have something as well?
Yeah, so I was going to say, if you can wait until after you take AMP2 to take the Ts, I would definitely recommend that you do that, because there is a big chunk of content that you won't have covered that you will probably see on the Ts. And another thing that I did, because I got a book just like Bobby did, but I also looked on YouTube. I know going through AMP, both of those courses, I would go out and find YouTube videos to help me grasp the content that I might have been struggling a little bit with. And there are videos out there on the different sections, that you will see on the Ts. And one of the things that surprised me was that comprehension is one of the lowest scoring components of the Ts. So we're all focused on math and science because we're in a science program, but spending a little extra time to focus on that reading comprehension will probably benefit you quite a bit.
Great, thanks all for that feedback. So I think we've kind of gotten to our last question at this point. So one person asked, who can we contact for help or guidance? So I'll be your main point of contact. So always just start with me, and then if for some reason it's a question for another office or department, I can direct you to that person. So I'm going to have the chat guru send out my contact information so you have it, and then you can reach out to me with any questions that you have. After today's event, I'm your point of contact for those. And then I did want to mention, I think that's our chat person just talked about the next Ts prep workshop. So that was sent to you. So that's Friday, April 23rd from 3 to 5. So and then my contact information was shared. So great. So I know that we had a lot of questions that came in today. If for some reason we didn't get to your question, know that we're going to follow up through email. If there are any questions that we didn't get to, and my plan is to contact all of you that attended today, so I can answer any questions that you thought of, or maybe you didn't get to ask in the chat feature. So know that I'll be reaching out to you soon. So I want to say thank you for the panelists for joining us today. I appreciate you sharing your TLU story and more about our nursing program. And then for all who are watching this panel, we're glad you were able to join us today, and we hope this gave you a better understanding of TLU and the nursing program here. So I also wanted to give a special shout out. I already called her out, but Peggy Chavez, she's at Northeast Lakeview, but she and Gilbert Palomo from St. Philip's College, they've always worked with us on putting these events together. So when we were in person, they would drive students up to TLU and we would go over this session. We've now done it virtually, and they have helped us through this, and they've been a great partner. So I just wanted to say a special thank you to you both for working with us and making sure that students from the Alamo colleges have a smooth transfer experience to TLU. So I also wanted to mention that if you are looking to learn more about the admissions and enrollment process, we do have events that are offered virtually, and then we're also offering individual visits on campus with COVID safety measures in place. So, one of them is a general session to learn more about the transfer admissions process. So I know we didn't get to cover, all the documents we need, but there is a session on that. There's also an option to do a Zoom one-on-one appointment. So if you wanted to chat with an admissions representative, it would be me, and we could chat a little bit more about your circumstance or anything you want to talk about specifically through Zoom or phone. And then we also offer a TLU showcase where we introduce you to different community members throughout the rest of the semester. So we have one coming up this Thursday that's with faculty. So right now, I haven't checked so some links are going to be sent out to you right now. So the visit link, and then also another link that we're going to send out is our nursing tour video. So that's something that we wanted to show you today, but it's just kind of hard to play on the screen. So we really do want you to check that out. So that's super great if you could check that out on YouTube. We actually have a transfer student that is leading that tour. So she is a transfer expert, and she's the Student Nurse Association president. So she came in as a transfer student. So that's something to check out. And then we'll also share just more information on the nursing program will be that third link. So you can register for them on the website, and we hope to see you at future programs. If you have any questions, again, my name is Elliot Powell. My contact information was shared there, so don't hesitate to reach out, and stay well, and we hope to see you at TLU soon.